presence. And this next poet, this is his first feature. We're really excited about this next poet. He's from West Mansfield, and he's been reading at open mics for not even a year, a very short period of time. He's a rookie. He doesn't have awards. He doesn't have advanced degrees. He is who he is. And I'd like to welcome to the stage for his first feature, Bryant Dill. Let's give him some extra love.
Yay, Bryant! Where is he?
Thanks, Ed. That was a pretty great introduction. Now you got the nerves nice and going. I appreciate it. All right. This first one's for Hanif, who will be reading later today. Unfortunately, he is not here right now. I am a little ashamed to admit that I kind of like Justin Bieber. And when I say a little, what I really mean is a lot. This is worse than when I decided I liked Flo Rida thanks to Tom Cruise and Tropic Thunder. I am what I suppose you would call a music snob. I like my folk music and indie rock and legit hip-hop. Bob Dylan, the Avett Brothers, Mumford & Sons, the Kooks, and Kid Cudi. If you shuffle my iPod, your mind will be blown going from Frank Zappa to Eminem to Foster the People. I'm the kind of guy who is open to new things but knows what he likes and what he doesn't. And I do not like pop music. Unless it's from 1964, I love the Beatles, let's get that right. But somehow, this high-pitched Canadian teeny bopper has wedged his way into my heart and onto my iPod, though at least it's just the one song. Please do not take away my man card. Please do not laugh. No, seriously, please do not laugh. This is a serious poem, not funny. There is nothing more serious than when a music snob admits to liking a pop artist. But seriously, though, I am not sure we give him enough credit. I got mad respect for the boy King. He might be all about image and style, but then again, so were the Beatles under Brian Epstein. And although he rhymes fondue with you and references animated characters from before he was born, this kid has talent. He can hit notes like no other. This is some Freddie Mercury kind of stuff. This is some Jesus Christ Superstar kind of stuff. This is shatter a glass of water kind of stuff. This is the kind of stuff that makes a dog's ears perk up. I don't even think I'm even capable of hearing some of the notes, and that's after this kid hit puberty. This kid used that talent to go from rags to riches, from street corners to sold-out arenas. It is easily a Cinderella kind of tale. Easily the best investment Usher has ever made. I'm sure Scooter Braun loves his bi-weekly pay. I wish I could discover someone on YouTube, or maybe this will get me discovered. I would love to be able to sit down and talk with him a while, because I admire his strive and dedication and how much he is so willing to give back. But even so, I'm embarrassed to admit that I crank his latest single with the bass turned high. It sometimes gets me strange looks, especially with the windows rolled down at the gas pump. Okay. This next one's called Pinks, Hot Dogs, and Foul Balls, and it's about the summer, which would be fitting if today was a nice day. I love the spring weather, though I much prefer the summer activities because summer means two things: baseball games and roller coasters, which are quite easily two of my favorite things. There is nothing better than hopping in the car and cruising down the road with my best friend by my side, headed north either to Cleveland or Sandusky. We got the windows rolled down and the music cranked loud, most likely the Avett Brothers or some Kid Cudi, and whether it's that 2-lane State Route 4 or the I-71 freeway, it is my favorite place to drive, save for all those annoying one-way streets and weird-ass intersections in Marion. There are few things more spectacular than the sight of the steel frames on the horizon as you drive across the thin causeway with the gentle waves on either side, and the closer you get, the louder the roar of screams and heavy engines grow. The peak of Mount St. Helens poking through the clouds as you ascend from SeaTac, and the fierce English Channel waves crashing on the Dutch coast as you would descend into Schiphol are just a couple which I can recall from recent memory. But nothing, absolutely nothing matches the goosebump-causing, panic-stricken, sweat-pouring adrenaline from being in that first row as you drop 95 degrees at 75 miles per hour. and then quickly run back to the start of the line so you can do it all over again, taking just a short break to chow down on that natural casing hot dog piled high with coleslaw, the perfect amount of cool to counteract the snap and pop of the dog. It's the perfect treat for a day filled with thrills and screams. There are few things more spectacular than the sight of not seeing LeBron's face hanging on the side of a building as you exit I-90 onto Ontario Street. But that dying city doesn't need that backstabber so long as the Chief Wahoo is still around. That team is the reason why I'm in Cleveland and why I wouldn't mind calling it my second home. Because you'll find me sitting on that first baseline more often than you won't. Me and my best friend sitting in the sun, trying to avoid treacherous sunburn just behind that visiting team's dugout. The bat makes contact with the ball so close you can hear the crack, and the ball goes soaring with 3 runners on the bags. A walk-off grand slam to end the night. The fireworks erupt from behind the scoreboard, illuminating the light-polluted city sky. The game is over, and all the fans pour onto the streets. But I'm fine, just staying here at the ballpark, where I feel some of the most joy and have some of my best days. And if you'll notice my legs, I did not avoid the treacherous sunburn the other day. This is called For Jamey. I wrote this for Jamie Rodemeyer, who was a teenager who was big with the It Gets Better campaign and eventually ended up killing himself like so many others who have been bullied. I'm so sick and tired of seeing on the news another kid who has killed himself. I thought we were long beyond this. I thought we were living in a day and age where everyone is equal, but here's the deal. People suck, get used to it. They push and push and push until you're on the edge of that cliff and you fall right over those bastards. What is it that has them so incredibly insecure that they must pick and pick and pick? Why is it that they must single you out and hurl insults at you day in and day out? Maybe, just maybe, and I'm going out on a limb here, but maybe we're giving therapy to the wrong kids. Maybe it's the kids shouting faggot who need to go to the counselor, and maybe it's not the kids who is so confident in himself that he can herald his sexuality from the rooftop. That kid has got it right because he doesn't give a damn what you think. He knows that his parents will love him and support him, but unfortunately he still has to win you. You, that bully in the quad at school, you, that bully in the cafeteria, you, that bully at the back of the bus, you, that bully who pushed him so far he tied a noose around his neck and hung himself. How does that make you feel? You are the one who did it. You might as well have been the one to tie the knot. You hung him and you know it, and you're the only one to blame. And I hope you're punished with the same treatment. I hope you are locked in a room where you are left to question everything about yourself for the first 14 years of your life. I hope you are locked in a room where you are left to wonder who the hell you are for the first 14 years of your life. I hope you are locked in a room where you are joined only by his parents who have outlived their son, his parents who would probably like to put a noose around your neck, his parents who loved him unconditionally no matter what, no matter who he loved, his parents who just want to know why the hell you called their son a faggot. There's nothing wrong with being homosexual, there's nothing wrong with being bisexual, there's nothing wrong with being transsexual, trisexual, pansexual, or asexual, there's nothing wrong with being heterosexual. But there is something wrong with you, the bully who killed that poor kid. Thank you. This next one I wrote after a friend of mine who is a firefighter EMT dealt with his first death of a child on the job and then his second death of a child on the job later that same day. First one was pre-existing causes, the second one was a suicide. Now I have never been a firefighter or EMT, and I have no desire to ever be one. I don't like blood. But I can imagine that the worst thing they ever have to face is the death of a child. They face death every day, but there's a big difference between a 90-year-old cancer patient and a 5th grader. I can't even begin to imagine the thoughts that would race through your head as you end chest compressions and stare into those blank eyes. How could you even come back from that? How could you go to sleep that night and wake up the next morning and go right back to work? I don't think I could do it, and I applaud those who can. Whether it is by accident, disease, or by his own hand, there is never a reason why a child should die far too soon before his time, but no matter how hard you try, you will never be able to find justification. So you can curse at God, but it will never help. There's only one thing you can do, and that is keep fighting, keep saving every life that you can. just wrote this one last night, so it's a little rough, and it doesn't have a title yet. Cancer is a big deal. I don't mean to state the obvious. We raise more money for it than anything else, and it affects damn near everyone. My grandma has cancer of the lung without ever smoking a cigarette. And one of my best friends almost died of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma when he was just 12. I support them through their struggles, and I will always donate when asked. But I can't help but wonder, who is it that decides what disease gets the best press? My cousin, age 8, has cystic fibrosis. She's had it since she was born. And as a family, we support her. We do whatever we can. We are out there involved raising money for a cure. But we are almost the only ones. We hold fundraisers and bring in a few K. We have a walk every year like cancer, but ours is minuscule in comparison. I'm not sure we even have a ribbon. You won't find our rubber bracelets at finish line. You'll never see a baseball player with a purple bat because everything is always pink, because cystic fibrosis got nothing on breast cancer. And even though we need a cure just as much as you, we don't get the same support, and I just don't get it. I just want to see my cousin happy and healthy. I just want to see a cure, but that can't happen without you.
Good job.
This is called the Sacrificial Rite. It's going to sound like teenage angst, but I swear it isn't. I wrote it from the perspective of a character in a novel that I'm working on and have been working on for way too long. I'm reading it because my friend who is currently in Korea teaching really liked this one, so I wanted to read it for her since she can't be here. Have you ever seen a broken heart? Have you ever seen an Aztec priest take his knife and plant it square in the middle of his victim's chest and cut through the flesh, tearing and ripping it from the bone, cracking the sternum and opening the rib cage, and there it sits. A still beating heart, that's my heart, it's still beating, can you hear it? Thump, 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 thump! There's a look of anguish on my face, and the priest reaches in with his aged and bloody hand, and in one swift tug removes the organ from my chest cavity. He turns to the crowd at the bottom of the temple and displays his still-beating prize, trying to pump blood into the air. He is met with a glorious uproar in unison and much applause, and a look of relief comes over my face. Alright,
Okay.
we got two more. This first one's called Welcome to the Midwest, and it's about life living in small-town Midwest, which I'm sure many of you here can relate to. This town is a happening. This town is a happening if you are an old person. This town is a happening if you are church-going, Golden Buckeye card carrying, Bengay using, Metamucil drinking pensioner over the age of 62, but for me and you, it is far from happening, but rather it is dishappening. It is dishappening and depressing. It is all that you wish to leave behind, but yet, here you still remain. It is there every day to remind you of the things you have screwed up, and it gives you the motivation to set them right. This town is a happening. This town is a happening if you're a child who doesn't know any better under the guidance of his parents who always said they would get out of this town, but yet here they still remain. This town is a happening for that bicycle riding, elbow greasing, niece getting home run hitting, ice cream eating child under the age of 14, but I'm the one man who forgot how to ride a bicycle, and I haven't hit a home run since T-ball. And my aches and pains are most likely arthritic, but I damn sure love me some ice cream, 2 scoops, cookies and cream on a waffle cone, please. Now this town is a happening, I can assure you. This town is a happening with this 5-minute delay from the time when something happens to it. Everyone knows this town is a happening with its 4 different churches, each one a different denomination. This town is a happening with its 98.9% majority white population, but don't worry, they aren't wasps. This town has it all. Racists, bigots, homophobes, hypocrites, zealots, jingoists, gun freaks, deadbeats, cokeheads, junkies, alcoholics, creepers, wife beaters, child hitters. Oh, and there's me. The long-haired, bespectacled, indie rock-loving, harmonica-blowing, 20-something son of a bitch with a pen and paper, and I am here to immortalize all those others. For without me, their lives would go unrecorded. Because without you, I wouldn't have my inspiration. Because without you, I would stare at the paper until I finally wrote down a few words, a Mormon allegory alluding to the sinfulness of premarital sex. But instead, I have you, this happening town. This happening town for ideas that are stranger than fiction, so thank you. Thank you for being so effed up. So thank you. Thank you for drinking too much, snorting too much coke, hitting your wife, kicking your kid across the coffee table, calling your neighbor a nigger, telling me I'm going to hell, spinning your child support on cigarettes, refusing marriage between a loving couple, and shooting that poor squirrel with a handgun because it wouldn't stay out of your garden. Okay. This last one's called You Can Be Superman. Have you ever had a child tell you he wants to kill himself? Because I have. And let me tell you, it is the most heartbreaking thing you will ever experience. It is worse than that time you didn't get that fancy toy for Christmas. It is worse than that time you went to school and that nerd was wearing the same shirt. It is even worse than when you discover that ABC was ending Lost. But what it isn't worse than is a child who hasn't just said he wants to kill himself, but has indeed done the deed, because while you were twiddling your thumbs, he was Googling how to tie a noose. And while you were out cheating on your wife, his caring and supportive mother, he hung himself in the closet because you called him a stupid fag when the trash bag ripped from all the beer bottles you refused to recycle. And yes, your son was smart enough to know and appreciate the irony, and that is why he did it that way, because he wanted one last laugh before he went to heaven, where no one gives a goddamn about race or creed or sexuality, and where he knows he will never have to see you again. But it is horrible that you drove him to such extents, and you will never even realize that it was all your fault, that you could have been the one to save him. And then he could have been the one to save all those others. He could have reached out a helping hand to those who had no one else, to those who felt alone, scared, and unsure. He could have made a difference, and so could have you. Thank you.